Hey guys, what's up? So I have another build video for you today, and that's what I'm going to start calling this. So even though I've done these videos in the past, on this channel I think I've maybe only done one, if none. So we're going to start calling this The Build, uh, episode 1 or whatever, or video 1. And what we're going to do today is, this led me to something else I was thinking about the other day. So I was messing around with SteamOS, and granted I wasn't messing with it on anything great. It was just like my own system. I had a 2.5-inch laptop hard drive from like forever ago. I was like, and just threw it in there and formatted it and stuck SteamOS on it. I'd messed with SteamOS before when it was brand new, and I put it on a small Intel NVIDIA system. And so with that being said, I wanted to see if it would work on an APU. And it did. It worked on an APU very, very well. But then the other question is what games are available for it? So if you're really into indie games, there are some AAA titles on it starting to show up. Not a lot, but if you want to build yourself a cheap Steam machine, sort of like a console replacement, there's a lot of people out there that just game and don't particularly care which one it is, and there's plenty of really good games on the Steam machine. There's some people that may just want to play smaller indie games, and that's perfectly fine too. So today I put together a small form factor mini ITX box for under 600 bucks, and I think it should have pretty good performance. Now there are better deals out there, but I wanted to pick parts, as always, that aren't cheap and aren't going to crap out. Uh, so first thing I want to talk about is some of the games I was kind of surprised that are hitting SteamOS now. So I went to this thread today on Tech Syndicate. This is was recommended Linux games, and if you're wondering why I got the Micro Machines guy there, because I was just having some fun. But these are the list of some of the games that I had listed there, so I'll just read them off. Found out XCOM Enemy Unknown works in SteamOS now natively, which I was surprised. Rust, Shadowrun Return, Shadowrun Dragonfall, Pixel Junk Shooter, Pixel Junk Monsters. It's a cool little game, light. If you haven't checked it out yet, I would check it out. There's what was it, like last month I think? Tex Murphy Tesla Effect came out. It's supposed to be coming to SteamOS, but they released the older games, which were full motion, sort of like point and click adventures, onto Steam, Steam, and of course they all work on SteamOS, so that's actually pretty cool. Kerbal Space Program, Dota 2, Dust and Elysian Tale. It's kind of like a Metroidvania game with like really good animation. It was actually published by Microsoft Studios, which is kind of surprising that it's on SteamOS. Same thing with Market and Ninja. It's also a Microsoft Studios game, and it's on SteamOS, so that's interesting. Bit Trip Runner 2, Beat Buddy, Tales of the Guardians, pretty cool. It's like it's like a beat mechanic, sort of, not like a platformer, but I don't know, it's something you'd have to check out and see the video. Bastion, I think a lot of people know Bastion is. I'm surprised that that works on there. DEF CON, if you've ever seen the 1982 movie War Games, where they've got like the nuclear missiles going and hitting. It's basically War Games, but they've actually gamified it and made it into a real thing. It's pretty fun. Let's see, I lost track where I was at. Fez, Forced, it's like a MOBA-like kind of game, I would guess is what you would call it. FTL, Faster and Light, great game, everybody should play it. Guacamelee Gold Edition, that first showed it up on PlayStation, and since been moved over to PC and other devices. Limbo, Monaco, Rogue Legacy, great game. Super Meat Boy, Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP. That's also sort of a point-and-click adventure in a way. It was originally made for iPad, but man, it upres it. It looks beautiful on a native 1080p. To the Moon, Capsized, Antichamber, Proteus. Some people don't think Proteus is a game. I don't know. If you just like to explore and get lost in a world, basically this is like, the graphics aren't anything great. They have sort of like this Atari look to them, and you just go around and you just like interact in this island. That's all you do. and it goes sort of like through cycles of seasons, and everything you interact with, whether it's like crabs or something, or not those kind of crabs, or rabbits or something, they have like a musical note and tone that's assigned to everything in the world. And like if you're just having a bad day, I like to call it a relaxing simulator. It's like the most relaxing thing you could do. It's awesome. Let's see. Awesome Knots, Psychonauts, Surgeon Simulator 2013, The Swapper, The Cave, Brutal Legend, Costume Quest, Stacking, Broken Age, Trine 2. So there's actually quite a few games that are hitting SteamOS. There's quite a few Linux games that you can get. I know there's quite a few over on Humble Bundle that are, you'll see like a little Linux thing, but it'll work on SteamOS. You just gotta learn how to install it. But anyways, I was really impressed. I had a few cases, and a couple other games I mentioned, like the Metro Redux edition. Like it's got Metro 2033 and Last Light. That works in SteamOS. And I was surprised on that one because on my system, it works fine, but there's a little bit every once in a while where it hits the hard drive and it kind of like stutters a bit, and I don't think anything about it. But like little performance stutters and issues I've had in the other games on Windows actually work flawlessly on SteamOS, which is weird. But and one of the other experiments I tried with SteamOS is I was running it on an APU, and it loaded the APU drivers in and everything fine. I'm sure I could have went and found updated ones. And my experiment when I want to try it, I want to take my GeForce GTX 760 and jam it in there, and then see what SteamOS would do. And just next boot, it just recognized it, and then it was running on the 760. It was that easy. It was actually kind of impressive. Okay, so here's the machine. If I can get this to work again. Yeah. Okay. So starting out with the parts list, I just have them listed here. I don't have them like I did before, but we'll go through. So for this machine, we're using an AMD quad-core APU. It is kind of sort of a quad-core chip. It depends on the workload you're doing. If it's optimized for this, it will act very much like a quad-core, but because AMD uses a thing called modules, for older things, it will act more like a dual-core. So I won't get too much into it, but it is very much quad-core. It's a different architecture, and as time goes on and more people learn how to program with for this, and I think games people are going to pick up on it pretty quick, because AMD's got an SDK out there for it, and you got the consoles, and anything comes over from the consoles is most likely going to support this. The coolant, we've got a Cooler Master Sight on 120 millimeter. I guess it's just called the 120M. I chose this because I knew that this would fit specifically in the case. It's hard in the case that we chose because it's such a amazingly small form factor to get anything else in there. Like the power supply's on the top, so you can't really stick a tall cooler in there. You could probably fit like a Noctua lower low profile cooler in there. But the problem with that is by the time you spend the money for one of those, you've already spent the money on a water cooler. So you just might as well get a water cooler and just call it, end of the day. Wanted to do a good motherboard. It was a mini ITX. So we're doing a MSI A88XI. It is FM2 Plus, of course, and it has things like wireless. So if you need to hook this up to wireless, it's fine. I have not looked to see if there would be any compatibility issues with SteamOS, so you might want to look that up. G-Skill Ripjaw 8 GB memory at 2400 megahertz. We've chosen that because with the APUs, the thing's going to be your biggest performance boost is going to be your RAM speed. So the more RAM speed you have, the better this guy's going to operate. With this cooler, you can't overclock this, and you can certainly overclock the graphics. There's people now running this at, it's 720 megahertz, I believe, or 760 at stock. You can get it to like 1.5 gigahertz, no problem, and that'll help out a lot. And then like the cores, you can get them like 4 gigahertz. A lot of these motherboards even have automatic settings on them, so to where you can auto overclock it For the memory, we did the fast and cheap Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 TB drive. This will give you plenty of storage for a while, and it's cheap. Then we got the Cooler Master Elite 110 Mini ITX cooler. Let me bring this up here, see if we can get a better picture of it. And this guy is impressively small. Like compared to even like other ITX, this thing is tiny. Now the problem with that is if you're going to add an extra card later on, you're going to be a little bit limited in the room that you can use. So my suggestion would be, especially with this, with an AP you can add graphics on. I wouldn't go any higher than a 280X. Anything above that, you're going to see some serious, I don't like to use the term bottlenecking, but that's when you're really going to start seeing it. The card I would choose if I wanted to add something onto this is like a 270X, but the idea of this is you don't want to add it now. If you wanted to add it now, there's actually like CPUs that are not APUs. Maybe tomorrow I can do like this similar Steambox build with CPU in mind instead of like an APU. But what we're going to, with this thing, this is good enough for me. This is the money I have. Maybe later on I want to invest in a video card. MSI actually makes a ITX style 280X that's actually really tiny and will fit in this thing nice. So that was kind of my thought behind it. I just wanted to keep it like nice, small, and simple. Okay. And it kind of looks like a speaker. Whatever. Anyways, you're going to get plenty of airflow in here, that much is for sure. Alright, let's go back to my, okay, Corsair CX 430 watt power supply. I ended up going with the semi-modular design, so your 24 pin and your CPU power supply will be still attached, but everything else you can add and take away, and that's going to help with the small form factor in the build in this thing. You can get the same thing as non-modular for about $5 less, but at that point, why? And if you need a mouse and keyboard, I've got the Cooler Master CM Devastator Gaming Bundle. It's a rubber dome keyboard with just a cheap mouse. It's $30. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty solid build for the money. And then what you're going to do is you're going to need at least a 4 GB USB drive, which I think most people have nowadays. And you're going to head over to Steam. And actually, I'm going to show you the webpage here. I think this is it, yeah. And I'll put this in the link below. So it's Steam, Steam-powered, SteamOS, build your own. And so they give you the specs here. Everything that I put together for you is going to fit in that. And then they say AMD and Intel graphics support coming soon. They support it now. It's not an issue. UEFI support, that just means what the BIOS is, that motherboard supports it. And then you got two options down here. Now with the 1 TB drive that I've given you, you can actually do this. And what this is this is basically an image that they have of basically an already set up system. And what you'll do is you'll just go into this, and with the option select, you want to select retire or restore entire disk. And it's just going to go through, and it takes a little while, but it's just going to like dump an image onto your hard drive, and then you're going to be ready to go. It's really the easiest way to go. But I'd have a hard time not doing a custom install, and custom install is super easy. You're just going to hit the automatic option on the install. It's going to go through the system. It's going to load into Debian, and it's going to automatically load in the Steam client into Debian. And it's going to restart. It's going to do its little clone partition thing to like back up the system. And then the only thing you have to do is like select when it's done with that, you have to select the restart option. It's going to restart again, and then it's going to start up, and it's going to give you like a very console experience where you're going to have to sign in and stuff. That's a lot to say. Anyways, depending on which one you're going to do, these are two different files here. So if you're going to do the regular installation or the image restore and you need to have a 1 terabyte drive to do this. This is the one you want to select. If you're going to do the custom, which I would prefer to do, you're going to need this. You're going to download one of these two. It's going to take a file. You're going to format your your USB drive to FAT32, and then you're going to take that file and you're going to expand or unzip everything in that file to the USB stick. And then you're just going to follow the instructions here, and then you will have a Steam box essentially. If down the road you want to spend the extra $100 and get Windows to have more access to games, you can always do that. It's still a PC, and like I said, you can always expand a video card into it. It's really a good option if you just want to get started and play a few games and you don't have a whole lot of money. But it's a good solid build for, I think, for pretty much what I would consider console price. Now, any concerns about controller? I have a wired Xbox controller. They're like 40 bucks at Walmart. I know we still have them here. I was surprised that they still make them. I thought it was something that went away with the white Xbox, but apparently they still make them. And you just plug it into USB ports, and you can still actually probably find, well, it's all the way over here. If you're lucky, you can maybe still find one of these. So this is a dongle for Xbox 360 controllers, wireless controllers, and then what it is you just hook this into your USB port, and on SteamOS it just recognizes it, and then you just have to do a sync option just like you do with an Xbox 360, and then a wireless controller will work. But if you can't find that, you can get a wired controller. I understand why people would want this. You can also go to eBay and say like Xbox 360 controller for PC or wireless Xbox 360 controller for PC and probably find it that way. As for Xbox One, it does not work yet. Xbox One controllers are still an issue on there. I'm sure Valve will get it hammered out, or maybe I was just having an issue with it. But either way, that is the build for tonight and the first official build on this channel. Tomorrow I'll come back with something else. We'll see. And I've got a couple other ideas. I think tonight I'm going to capture some gameplay. Anyways, you guys follow me on Twitter at Cell Processing, and you can follow me on Twitch, also at Cell Processing. And I'm on there on Fridays and Saturdays gaming at around, well, it's kind of a toss-up right now, but around between 6 to 8 is when I start. Pacific time. So, see you guys later, and have a good one.